Why don't you guys take it away?
And so we're going to be back to George a little bit later. He did a real nice interview. We got that coming up with Christine Eberhardt. But before we get there, let's just show you the women's bracket. We're going to cover the women's tournament first. So you can see we only had 4 teams, but it should be a fun tournament. These are 4 pretty good female teams, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The top part of that bracket, as you can see, Renegades versus Lunatics, and that should be a pretty good ball game. And then on the bottom we have, even though it's belated, we have the defending national champions, Hangovers, playing the Lady Rebels. And of course, the women compete real hard, and we're going to be going back over to George Bliss, who did the interview with Christine Eberhardt. Christine's going to talk a little bit about women's softball and the tournament. So, George, what did you find out?
Well, I found out that there's 4 great teams, and Christine's quite an interview. So why wait? Let's throw Christine on the screen right now. Christine Eberhardt, the girl that runs softball in Chicago. Now, that's a compliment. I want you to know that everybody knows you. So welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's a big compliment. I'll take it.
So guess what's happening this weekend? We're going to have the national title games between 4 good women's teams. They're going to play on Sunday at Joliet. Tell us about how you're feeling.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I think all the girls are really excited because I've had my team's Renegades. Actually sitting with a fellow Renegade here in front of me.
Renegades.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I gotta get you a shirt.
Okay.
So I will. Yeah. I've had my team. I finally made a decision to branch off in 2017, 2018. So I've had Renegades for about 6 years. And we actually played in the one that was 2018 when they did it in Wheeling. So that was super cool. We were in the championship with Hangovers. Didn't get that W, but hopefully we'll come back this year and get it. So we're super excited that they're bringing it back. I mean, like you said, I'm one of the biggest advocates for women's 16-inch, and so I've tried for years to get you guys to kind of collaborate with the men's major ball.
We haven't done a good job. We're catching up. You're so correct.
Yeah.
This is a big deal, really.
Yeah, it is. It really is, because at the end of the day, the amount of women and men that have either come up to me like, wait, women play, or wait, you guys don't play with gloves, or like all these different people don't know, honestly. So it's the exposure of the volume that come up to the men's major game. The women, the wives, the girlfriends, the daughters, like whoever is coming out to watch the men are going to see that, oh crap, there's a field of women's that are playing as well. So it helps us a lot to collaborate. And that's why we're most excited. A lot of the girls have boyfriends playing, husbands playing. I mean, one of the girls on my team, Morgan Battistoni. So Richie will be out there supporting us.
Oh yeah. Her husband's a great player for Hex.
Yep.
Richie. Yeah.
Yep, he's one of my good friends. So we're excited to be at the same complex. Hopefully you guys got us on a field where it's kind of in between. And I know our tournament will be short, but we are very excited to play in this tournament. And even though it's only 4 teams, again, it's
a
this
start.
Year, and it's 4 really good teams. So yes. There'll be some good games. They're just going to do double limb. We'll be done. I think our ship is scheduled for 3 p.m. and the what if game will be 4 if needed. So we'll be done somewhat early, and then we'll get to stick around and watch a lot of the men and our friends, my brother, the guys that support us.
Speaking of your brother, he plays for Impact.
Yep.
And he's been a well-known major player for a long time. So there's 2 great players in your family. But wait a minute, I understand your mother played too, right?
Yeah, so everyone knew my parents. My dad was always with me, every game, every tournament. He was out there yelling at everybody, cheering us on. My mom was a little bit more of the social butterfly, so she kind of would walk around and talk to people, help my brother with the kids. But even before she passed, in her 60s, 65, 66, she was still playing 3 nights a week softball. She was playing volleyball during the day. She was retired, and then she still worked. She killed it. You would have never thought. She looked like she was a cute woman in her 40s. You would have never even guessed that she was even capable. She went to Wyoming every year. Actually, this last year, the team that she would play with, they actually did a whole banner that
Really?
has 3 pictures. I can have my friend send it. They
Oh,
took
how nice.
pictures
How
of my
nice.
mom
Yeah.
playing. Yeah, so they got her swinging and grounding a ball, and they did a big banner at the Y Me tournament and took a bunch of pictures in front of it.
Got it.
So that was super cool to be able to take a picture
No,
with
wait,
them.
you're also you have a Hall of Fame connection coming up, correct? I mean, I interviewed
Yeah,
you recently. You're going in with the team or
yes, so I actually was one of the few members that got inducted, both teams. Two women's
what?
teams got inducted, Luscious
Really?
and Chaos, and I've had the honor of playing on both teams. So that was a
Wow.
big, huge accomplishment, at least for me personally. I know a lot of people maybe don't care, whatever, but I Hall of Fame has been a big goal. And so to get inducted on 2 teams at the same time is super cool. You were there, obviously you saw,
Unbelievable.
yeah, you saw
Unbelievable.
all the women that
Yeah.
were out there supporting us. We took a bunch of pictures with both teams. So I do plan to go to the dinner. I don't know how many girls are gonna go, but I know there's gonna at least be a handful of us that are gonna go to the dinner in October, because it's just a huge accomplishment, and hopefully
Yeah.
in time I'll get in there for manager and for my team for Renegades, and
So wait a
I'm
minute, we're talking
excited.
triple header. We're
Yeah,
talking you're in with two teams and you're going to the dinner and you're playing in the nationals.
yeah.
So if you pull this off, this triple header, no woman has ever done it that I know of. So Christine Eberhardt on the TV screen here, SSA broadcast. Well, we wish you the best coming up this weekend at Inwood Complex in Joliet.
I
And
appreciate
we wish
that.
your brother well because they're going to start the Impact team's going to play against Resmondo. So the
Yeah.
Eberhardt family's in for big work this week.
Yeah, hopefully they do well. I told him, I actually was talking to him earlier and I said, you never know. These guys might come in and just try to bomb everything and they might not understand the 16-inch game. So I'm like, just do your job.
We're gonna find out. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll be out there tomorrow night watching the guys, and then
Yeah.
we'll obviously be back there Sunday for the women's tournament. Starts at 12. For anybody that does watch this, our first games are at 12, and then it'll be done probably by 4 or 5.
Beautiful.
So everyone come out and support. We could use every bit of exposure and just support that we can take, because the women, I really want to make this game bigger than it is, which is not
Right.
very
Well,
big. So we
you're
want to
helping
keep.
it. You're helping it become big. We thank you for coming on today, and we're gonna see you this next couple days. Okay.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks,
That
George.
that is Christine Eberhardt, super player here. Thank you for dear, and good luck to everybody in the Eberhardt family.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We're with Christine Eberhardt.
Well, I'll tell you, that was a great interview. I got to tell you, that was a great one. Listen, I wish everybody well, the 4 girls teams. It's going to be great. Somebody's going to come out a national champion of SSA, and that's the place to be today. So we'll see you at Joliet this weekend, the girls tournament and the men's, and all the people from out of town. Thank you for watching. Let's send it back to none other than Jerry Brown and Gio.
Good stuff, George. Very well done. Christine's always
She's a great interview. Come on.
very engaging and very nice. Good job, bud.
All right, guys. Good luck.
So, what a lot of people might not remember is Becky Honan of the Hangovers was the MVP of that tournament in Wheeling in 2018. And that was a hard fought tournament. And I would expect this year's tournament, Jerry, is going to be, even though there's only 4 teams, they're going to get after it.
Oh, they're gonna tooth and nail, and so that should be very interesting to see. And hopefully this is a foundation for something bigger and better down the road. So maybe next year we get 8 teams, and the year down the line we get 16 teams. But so you all come on out and support, and all you ladies who play softball, get your team next year and come on out and let's have a good time.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And if there's any females that want to reach out to us, we've been looking for several years to hopefully bring in a female softball player who's knowledgeable about the women's game so that we could turn around and try to grow that division. We got so many pans in the fire, it's hard for us. But, we decided this year we were going to bring it back, and hopefully we can grow it moving forward. So any women out there, reach out to us or come talk to us. Sunday in Joliet. Of course, the men's will be wrapping up on Sunday as well. So Sunday going to be a lot of fun. We'll have a lot of people in the park, and we'll take a quick break and show you our sponsors again, as we always do. Please support the people that support 16-inch softball. For a lot of you that are out there and have been following the summer series, Gold Rush, Sweet Buzz, our two anchor partners that allowed us to get it off the ground. But when you come out to the park, pay attention to the banners. Make a mental note if you need any of the services. They're the ones that make all of this stuff go. And, you know, people always don't think about that behind the scenes stuff, Jerry, but it's real important that we support those individuals.
Of course.
So now we're going to head over and we're going to talk about the men's tournament. And, man, we got a lot of stuff going on this weekend.
Do you see my shirt with the smiley face? I'm so happy. Let's get it rocking and rolling.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the X over the one eye is, but
Well, that's the patch.
Okay. I thought maybe you were like being a pirate.
No. I'm just happy. I'm ready to get things started.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to kick off Friday. Harlow Lockwood in Joliet. You can take the Stevenson to 52. You make a left or you go east onto 52. You'll run right into the park. If you're coming out on Friday night, Joliet Catholic is playing their first football game, but there's going to be plenty of parking. There are parking lots on both sides of the football stadium, and it hasn't been too bad. We've been able to get by on Friday, but we're starting at 6:45. Me and Jerry will run through each quarter of the bracket, but then a couple of different twists. You got Rismondo, a very good 12-inch team.
Yeah.
They're coming in first time. I know a lot of the local 12-inch guys want to come out and see them play 16-inch. It'll be fun to see how they adapt to our game and see what they can do with the big ball.
You know, I take this like the year that Conor McGregor tried to go and fight boxing and tried to fight, I forgot the boxer's name. What's his name? Well, and he tried to shift from one avenue to the next. And in the beginning, it looked good, and at the end, I don't know, it didn't look so good. And so I'm curious to see how Rismondo responds. The bats, the ball, will it be swung out? It's a lot of intriguing parts. So I can't wait to see that game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I'm pretty sure whether you're an Iowa 16-inch team or a Illinois 16-inch team, they're gonna accept the challenge.
Yeah,
they're gonna go hard.
It's too late to back out now.
It's right, but it'll be interesting to see the energy level and how that game plays out. We're going to get to their matchup in a second, but at 9 o'clock, we're going to have the Illinois-Iowa All-Star game. Iowa only had 3 teams coming in, so they are taking 4 of the Rismondo guys and giving them a chance to participate in the All-Star game. So those games are always knockdown, drag-out games. And the last time we did one in Joliet, Iowa came out on top. So, I'm sure the Illinois team is going to be looking for a little payback and to try to reclaim the bragging rights. So we'll see what happens there, but that should be a lot of fun.
You got the best of the best playing, so there can't be anything but fun. It won't be an exhibition, it will be a game, because once they say play ball, the juices will start flowing and everybody wants to win the game, and it should be very entertaining. A question.
Yeah.
Didn't you coach one of those games in the All-Star?
Yeah, I was the lead manager on a couple of the 2017, and I'm pretty proud of the fact I never lost one. But
okay, so the pressure's on this year's Illinois coaching staff.
You're trying to make sure you can get everybody in, but by the same token, you're trying to manage the game to win the game.
Right.
And, so sometimes you have a script, these guys will start the game, these guys will finish the game, but then sometimes circumstances get in the way, and maybe you end up using a guy as a pinch runner, which I had to do in the under-27 game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so the kid that I ended up using to be a pinch runner, didn't actually get an at-bat or get to play the field.
But you won.
We did win.
Okay.
And when we were at CJ's, everybody in Iowa knows where and what CJ's was. They sponsored one of their better teams for many years out there. It was a great place. When we were in the bar after that, I actually talked to the kid and said, hey, man, I'm real sorry, but you were the fastest guy I had. And, he kind of looked at me and he said, I get it, I understand. But he was just happy to be on that under-27 team. And he had a nice career.
Well, that's pretty good. That's very refreshing. So just let you guys know somebody's going to get Jason Tatum, then, what you're saying, maybe not get their number called.
Well, no, it's hard. Like I said, it's hard, man. And
are you guys going to full 7?
No, we're actually, because of the number of players, I believe they're going to go 9.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And for all of those individuals, Jeff Hernandez, flashback, they won the No Glove, so he's the lead manager. Believe it or not, Jerry, I didn't see the All-Star team until after it was picked and they sent me the list.
Okay.
And I don't, I got so many pans in the fire right now, it didn't bother me. So,
well, I think the selection committee did a pretty good job. Well, a very good job, excuse me. You can't go wrong. You got an all-star team with one of my favorites, Dan Dispenza. You can go with Mike Manzella.
Well, my favorite is Wes Shannon.
Well, Wes Shannon is everyone's favorite. But I know a certain guy for the 45 is one of my favorite, Nate, and I know Nate was going to play all 9 innings.
Well, I don't know about that, but
so
we'll see.
Don't worry about it, Nate. You're okay. You're young enough to play 9 innings. Continue.
And there's been a lot of chatter online. I know people are sometimes disappointed that maybe one of their teammates, or they didn't make the team. But, this all-star team was geared more toward the true major teams. Who we really don't do as much for the major teams as we do for the A teams.
No, you don't.
And but for all of you that are out there, maybe we didn't articulate it as well as we could have. At the end of the year, we're going to have all Chicago Summer Series first and second team, all defensive first and second teams, and an MVP. And that's really an opportunity for maybe players that didn't make this particular all-star team to really get their credit. We're going to create a ballot. We'll put the stats out there for everybody, and we're going to have the managers of all the teams that played in a Summer Series event vote for the All-Summer Series, all defensive, and the MVP. So that's going to be your peers voting you on to basically an all-star type team. And we're kicking around an idea, if we can find time to do it, if we can get the ballot out in time, maybe having the first and the second teams play each other.
Oh, wow. That'd be very interesting.
Right. And I think that would be a cool thing to do. And so we're working on a lot of stuff. Again, we've just rolled this Chicago Summer Series out this year. We're tweaking it. We're coming up with new ideas for next year. And so don't despair if you didn't make this all-star team. There's going to be another basically all-star team coming out at the end of the season.
But in regards to the team, I'm happy for 2 people who are very great players and unsung heroes. And one of my favorites is Ryan Russ, and the other one is Cha-Cha for the High Y.
Yeah, I agree.
I was happy those 2 guys got their flowers.
Yeah, I think Cha-Cha's having a terrific year.
Outstanding.
And, I was pleased to see him get on there as well. So we're going to actually put that list up. And since we already covered it, let's go over and you guys can kind of see the list in case you hadn't seen it. It's always tough on the video to show it, but we do have it. We're going to have those printed up. They'll be at the tournament. We're going to have a kind of like we do with the bracket boards. We're going to have this posted up there so you'll be able to see it during the weekend. And it should be interesting. So getting back to the tournament itself, let's go over and we'll look at the first part of the bracket.
Let's jump on in.
Jump on in.
Here we go.
Got Hex playing Hall of Fame Saturday. They feed into F-Town. And then we got Impact versus the aforesaid Rismondo group, with the winner feeding into Iron. And this is an interesting bracket because, you know, Hex has been a very good major team for a long time now, and they're playing Hall of Fame out of Iowa, who is one of their best teams, if not their best. It depends on who you talk to out there. So that's going to be a kind of a battle of the Titans a little bit. And the winner gets F-Town. And F-Town has, you know, they just compete, they hang around, they play hard. They have one of my favorite players who's going to be in the All-Star game, Jalen Smith. And
He can fly.
He can fly. And
He can fly.
And they picked up his brother, and my understanding is his brother can fly too.
Okay.
So it'll be very interesting. That's a tough little grouping right there. And then on the bottom part of this upper bracket, we have Impact playing Rismondo. Rismondo is kind of a mystery in the 16-inch game. Had a conversation with Jeff LeVar. Their guys are fired up. They want to accept the challenge of playing Rismondo. So I think they'll be geeked up and ready to go.
Most interesting game in the whole first round.
Yeah, it is, because of that unknown factor. I agree with you. And then, of course, the winner gets Iron. And they've been, I tell you, man, the last 30% of the season, man, they've been pretty good. And they're going to have all their kids in. A couple of them that are still at school at Dayton will be flying in.
Okay.
Danny Atkins reaching into that Tyler construction money.
Okay.
Going to bring his son in, and you know they're gonna be ready to go, I think, this weekend. So you know, this is a pretty solid upper part of the bracket, I think, Jerry.
Yeah, you got Hex, like you said before. You go through it again. Hex, Impact, Iron, and I'm not picking in this bracket, but it's going to be very, very, very interesting to see how it folds. And a question: the F-Town, the guy who got hurt, is he playing, or is he out for the year?
Well, the last update I got on him, Brandon was doing well. There was no structural damage. It was just stitches. And at the A, they were saying he was going to probably take about 3 weeks for the skin to heal.
Okay.
So we're about 2 weeks out. I don't know if he's a fast healer or not.
The juices start flowing. That's always a healer.
Yeah, well, we'll see. You don't want to re-tear that open again, but he'll have a nice scar, I'm sure, from that. So that, and you know, this is an interesting bracket too, because you got two teams from Iowa and you got Rismondo in there. So, you know, this is kind of where we've been taking the game, as the SSA, getting this type of participation to come in. And we're going to see what happens. So I know a lot of people are curious about it. Between that and the All-Star game, you know, we're anticipating we're going to have a pretty large crowd on Friday night. So
yeah,
it should be
Friday Night Lights.
Should be a big party on Friday night. So make sure you make plans and come out. They're talking that it might rain overnight into tomorrow morning, but by the afternoon it's supposed to all be out of here, and the rest of the weekend's going to be fantastic. So now we're going to move over to the lower part of the bracket, where we got Pharaohs and Fat Kids, Meatball City and Signature, and then on the bottom we got Moneyline Highway, a rematch of
last year, wasn't
what
it?
might have been one of the best games of the tournament. And then the winner there gets the 45s as a door prize.
What a present, huh?
What a present.
The 45s are waiting on you.
Right. Now, following the Washington Park playoffs, I had heard, you can confirm this, that the Pharaohs walked off high Y.
I heard that.
And so the Pharaohs with the glove are always tough. And so they're running into a Fat Kid club now that has a lot of confidence. They picked up Alex Cotto.
My guy, Alex Cotto.
And so, you know, one of the interesting things that I'm going to be paying attention this weekend is, you know, is whether the Fat Kids have really turned the corner now. They look fantastic in Carroll Stream. They won that tournament. and they're a hot ball club right now. So it's going to be real interesting to see if they can jump up and bite the Pharaohs or not. Meatball City Signature. Of course, we heard Spencer Mahoney not going to be at the tournament this weekend. I think he's moving or something along those lines. So, does that make Signature vulnerable?
You know what? I thought about that. I was going to say yes, but then again, I thought about when they played in Melrose, the Melrose tournament they won. I think Spencer was gone all Saturday.
Yeah.
And they kept, and that's so much talent on that Signature team, and they're very well coached, and they're going to keep chugging along. So, I'm not going to feel sorry for them. They're just going to have a quality ball club, and it's going to be a great game either way.
Well, another thing I heard was that Mark Menizzi, the second baseman, not Matt Menizzi, his brother, is kind of fighting a little bit of a tender shoulder.
Okay.
And he sat out a few league games down the stretch. So it'll be interesting to see whether he's kind of healed up and he's out there because, he's one of the guys at the top of their lineup that makes it work and go.
Yeah, he's the number 2 hitter, and he does
Right.
make them go. And I think he's a Lenny Dykstra type guy. He's tough as nails. He's going to give it a go. So I won't be surprised if he plays the whole tournament and be an all Geo, wink wink,
Right.
and bat 600.
And of course, Signature has one of those young players that did make the All-Star team, who really kind of has come into his own, Danny Marston.
Yeah.
And Danny has been having a real good year. So it'll be interesting to see how Signature does, whether Menizzi's healthy, if they can kind of overcome that. And, Meatball City out here in Melrose, they had a pretty good run. They beat a couple of the top major teams. They eventually did lose, but they look pretty good. It looks like they look more like they did at the beginning of the year than they did kind of in
Tinley
that
Park?
Yeah, well, that and even at the TOC, they looked really good, and they kind of went through a little dead period. So I keep waiting for them to really explode. And I don't know, maybe, it's going to be Friday night against Signature. We'll see.
Well, anytime they wake up is this the time. This is the last tournament of the year. I mean, it's bittersweet. It was a great year, and we're going to have a great tournament, and that's going to be a great game.
It should be. And then Moneyline and High Y, Moneyline competes. And they got 2 of the better young studs in the game in, Marty Dozan and Chris Stout. But they've been hit by the injury bug. Their center fielder, Drew Chaveria, broke his ankle, out for the year. He did that at the No Glove.
First play.
Right. And they've got Matt Martin, who got injured as well, who was their starting left fielder. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they put it all back together, because those are 2 big losses for them.
Yeah, but you know what? With great coaches and great teams, when one man goes down, everybody steps up. So, question now, sidebar. Now, in this situation, as a manager, would you pick up another left fielder, another outfielder to replace them, or would you just keep going with your regular guys you have, your subs?
Well, I think it comes down to, did you really have anybody who's capable of going out and playing those 2 positions? Left field, very, very, it may be the toughest position to play in 16-inch softball. And so I think it just comes down to it. And if it was me and I had an opportunity to pick somebody up in either spot, I would run that past the team.
Okay.
And I would tell them, look, do you want to go with what we got? We got a chance to get Johnny or Jimmy. What do you guys think? And if the team says, no, we want to go with our group, then you go with the group. If the group tells you, yeah, absolutely. And again, in that type of an injury situation, you're not really stepping on anybody's toes.
No.
You're not taking playing time from somebody, So it just depends on your roster construction, where you're at, what you have, how deep you were. Some teams, they may only have 4 outfielders.
Yeah.
You know, some teams are blessed. They've got 5 or 6 guys that are capable. We are wearing a glove, so, you know, that may factor into whether you think a guy can do it or not. But that's always a delicate situation, to say the least. And then, of course, you know, High-Wise had a pretty solid year. They're obviously going to Joliet with the mindset of defending what's theirs, which is the national championship. And they were fantastic in that park last year. And so they're, you know, I'm sure they're going to be fired up. And I'm sure they're not going to look past money line injuries or not.
No.
And then, of course, the 45s, I mean, you know, they just kind of grind along. You know, you might look at them, you might look at the roster top to bottom, and you might say, you know, okay, Nate's a superstar.
True.
I guess you could call him that.
I will.
You know, and, you know, you've got Anthony Sanchez, very good left fielder. You've got Jeff Mastari, who's a rising star. You have P.J. Raines on that team, who slowed down a little bit since the start of the season, but it seems like in the last few times I've seen him, he's starting to get himself back to where he was at the beginning of the year. And then you got a lot of veteran guys, and they just know how to play softball. They don't beat themselves. They're very aware. They run the bases well. They get hits when they need it. And so anytime the 45s are in a tournament, especially with the gloves, I don't think you can discount them at all.
No, not got it all. They got another one of my unsung heroes, Danny Villarreal. I think he's absolutely outstanding. And like you said before, you can't look past anyone in that bracket, especially the 45s.
Yeah, and I know, heard a rumor Danny might be
You hear a lot of rumors.
might be on the All-Geo team. We'll see.
Now you throw a tidbit. Now you go now you give the people what we want, a nugget. Thank you. Did that hurt? And he most deservedly should be all Geo.
Well, Danny is a great kid, and, you know,
He played first base at Melrose one day they were short.
Well, I tell you, I tell the story all the time. The first time I saw Danny was at Harrison Park, and he was playing center field.
Oh, wow.
And so he's a Swiss Army knife. He can go anywhere.
Yep, well.
So we'll move on to the next part of the bracket, which is the lower half of the bracket, the upper quarter. And so we got a kind of an interesting setup here. We got Flashback, who's won 2 tournaments and finished second and finished third. They're running away with the Chicago Summer Series team standings. Unless they go 2 and out, I don't know if anybody's going to catch them.
No, it's not going to happen.
And,
we're all fighting for second.
And they've just had a terrific year. They play Savage, finished second in the A glove.
Okay.
And the thing I like about Savage is they play good defense, and they got a couple of guys that can hit the ball. And if I was Flashback, I wouldn't look past Savage, especially if they're playing maybe with the wind blowing in or what have you. So that should be an interesting game. Winner gets 10 deep. 10 deep had a real nice Class A tournament.
10 Deep's been there all year. They've been wherever they've played in, they've been in the mix all year, and they represented Washington Park very well this year. So hats off to 10 Deep.
Yeah, I think Maurice and Reggie have done a good job over there. So that'll be an interesting follow-up game. And, you know, Jerry, I always talk about if you're going to play a big team, I always wanted to play them
First.
in this slot. No, I wanted to play them the second game of the tournament.
Really, the second game?
Yeah, because I think at that point your group has won a game, and a lot of the big teams sometimes have a tendency to say, you know, okay, we're playing them at 12:30, but who are we playing at 5 o'clock? And they look past
you.
They
Okay.
look past you a little bit, and
Like when you're playing oboes.
well, oboes are good.
Yeah, okay.
But, you know, what I'm getting at is, you know, even the big teams sometimes will not take care of their business in the sense that they think it's going to be a walkover. And, you know, sometimes in a tournament, you got managers worried about getting guys in. So maybe they're not putting, you know, what you would consider their true A lineup out there, and it seems like that's when a lot of these bigger teams are vulnerable, at least in my experience.
I don't see Gibbs doing that. I don't see him. I see him the type of coach he is. He's a very good coach in junior. They got a very good 1-2 combo, and I see him keeping his foot on the pedal, wherever that means. And I don't see him loosening up or letting up just because they're playing a team that is of the same ilk. So I see them playing their best, and if they lose, they're going to lose going down. Their guns going down.
So that brings us to the next part of this bracket. Chuck's from Iowa playing the Goons.
Oh, Marla.
And the Goons were kind of the surprise story, I think, of the A tournament. Nobody knew much about them. They got a couple of lightning-fast kids on that team.
Number 0.
And they will play and they will fight you. And, I think that's a team that, because of the fact that nobody's seen them, that works to their advantage as well. And, I got to be honest with you, Chuck's has got a star-studded lineup, but they haven't really put it together all summer. So now that they're in Chicago playing with the glove, I expect them to play a lot better this weekend. I think that's a heavy lift for the Goons, but, we'll see which Chuck's team shows up this weekend.
Yeah, well, like I said before, the great thing about this is the Goons don't know who they are. So they're going to go out there and play loose and carefree. And Chuck's is a powerhouse. And hopefully it's a good game. And I'm pulling for a great game. And that's all I care about. I don't have a dog in the race. I just want to see good softball.
And then the last part of the bracket, Circus versus Menace. And we talk all summer about how good the Circus roster is, and we'll see this weekend if they can finally put it together. We've had 4 events. Circus has not won an event yet. They did make it to the championship game last year with High Y.
Right.
And, from my observation, they've had a tough time this year for whatever the reason is. They've got good infielders, but they've made a lot of mistakes and errors. It's not an offensive issue with Circus. They have been scoring a boatload of runs. They got some gaudy offensive statistics on that team, but their problem is they're just not catching the ball good enough, and I think putting the mitts on is going to make Circus a very, very dangerous team because they're still going to score runs, mitts or no mitts.
And now you're going to cut down, well, with the mitts on, you should reduce the errors by at least 30%, 30% of errors. So you're talking about they're still going to score their 12, 15 runs, and they're going to have 30% less errors, and that spells problems.
It really does, and we'll see if they have the whole group out. They got a few first responders, they got a couple of firemen. They got a couple of police officers. So, you never know when those guys are going to be called in or have to work, and that's an issue too. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if they have their whole group out. But, this could be a redemption tournament for that team, and we'll see how they do.
I like that. I like that redemption tournament. Okay, well, good luck to Circus, and like I said, the bracket is not easy. They got a great offensive team, and I have noticed that they didn't catch the ball like that, but they just cut down on reduce the errors and go from there.
Yeah, I think so. And then we got Menace. This will be a big lift for Menace to try to get past Circus, but the one thing I love about Menace and with Cree and Brian Crosdale and our guy Popcorn.
All Gio.
And, he hit the walk-off from the Nicky Lopez.
Come on.
For Team SSA, baby. So anyways, but the one thing I like about Menace is they're going to show up. They're going to do the best they can. They're going to fight you. They've been known to pull upsets.
Yep.
And so we'll see what happens, but love their demeanor, love the fact that they work hard and they get into everything. They're not afraid.
There's no ducking. Menace doesn't do any ducking or dodging. They play who they're going to play, and they produce. And I like them in. Oh, congratulations! I don't know if I congratulate them. They won Clyde Park this year, so I don't know if I congratulate them. If I missed you, Menace, congratulations. Popcorn. We'll have a soda and we'll talk and laugh when I see you in the
There
park.
you go. He might even like a good cigar, I think.
I don't share my cigars.
Because you buy expensive cigars.
Well, I got to be good at something this year. I wasn't good at coaching.
So now we get to the lower part of the bracket, and we got March playing Sauce.
Okay.
And, I think Tommy Lentine has done a good job, senior that is, has done a good job of kind of retooling them. And they've been pretty good most of the summer. They compete. They've put together some nice wins. They're going to run into Sauce, and Brian Sloan's done a good job with Sauce, upgrading them every year little by little, and they're starting to, get to the point where they're a threat. And I think if you're March, you don't want to fall asleep on them.
You better not.
Yeah, and the winner gets Jelly Roll.
Now, who's Jelly Roll?
Well, Jelly Roll is a team that Johnny Pellegrino plays with his son and a couple of his son's friends, and I believe they play out of, I want to say it's Pleasantdale or somewhere out there, and Johnny just wanted to put his son's team in there so that they could play a little bit and just kind of experience, higher level softball.
Okay.
And have them maybe learn a little bit. So, it'll be interesting. I haven't seen them play. Johnny says they got a couple of nice players on that team. So we'll see what happens. But they're jumping in. And then we get down to the next portion, Chicago Dynasty versus the Demons. This game is actually going to be played 9 a.m. on Saturday morning before the 10 o'clock games start.
Okay.
That was a mistake when the original bracket came out. So both teams are aware of that. If you're a Dynasty or a Demon fan,
DD.
take aware, be aware of that change. And, Dynasty, they're, it's a proud franchise. They've had a lot of success. They've lost some.
They won the No Glove.
They've just lost a ton of superstar caliber players, and Michael Angie, Joey Agardo, Brian Sherwin, and they're, still hanging in there, still playing ball. They have a tendency to look really good for 3 or 4 innings, and then they have an inning where
Not so good. The
not
wheels
so
might fall off.
good, right? And they play the Demons, and the Demons are a lot like Sauce and Menace. They won the A No Glove a couple of years ago, and one of my favorite guys, Pistol Pete,
Second baseman?
Corral. No, he's first baseman catcher, but Pete's a fun dude. And
My guy's a short center.
yeah,
I think his name was Cody. Jody. Well, I'm sorry, I got your name wrong, but I like the short center for Demons.
okay.
I thought his name was Jody.
Well, it escapes me at this point.
It's a tip of my tongue.
You
Maybe
know,
I'm nervous.
Brandon Alvarado, little lefty, plays second base. Him and Pete, they're doing the best they can, and they're a solid little ball club.
Yep.
So, Chicago Dynasty, I think, is going to have their hands full in that ball game, and if the Demons were to win that game, I think a lot of people might look at it as an upset, but not as big an upset as people might think.
No, you got the mitts on. The mitts kind of even the playing field some. So if they're wearing the gloves, they're not making errors, and getting a couple of timely hits, it's pretty much anybody's ball game. So this is going to be another good. Just unfortunately, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and JB got to sleep. I got to get my beauty rest. So it's 9 o'clock in the morning. So I'll hear about that later. But good luck to both teams.
Okay, does John Banks know you're going by JB now?
I'm the real JB.
Okay.
He's two Pete. Okay, I'm JB.
And then, of course, the winner is going to run into BTA.
Oh wow. Okay.
And, of course, BTA 2 years ago won the major national championship tournament. And, if they should win that game, they might end up playing March for the 7th time this year or whatever it's been.
The seventh, the lucky charm. Babe, it is
Well,
what it is.
Well, March is, for the most part, had BTA's number. And, of course, now we're wearing mitts and we're at the national championship tournament. And I would think if those two hook up,
That's going to be hilarious.
it's going to be a fun ball game. And the only thing is, with BTA, I noticed in one of the games late in the year they played March, they fell behind early. I think it was at the No Glove. And, their body language wasn't good. So, if I'm BTA, go out tomorrow. You're not playing till Saturday. Walk around, take a few deep breaths, clear your head, and, go into that March game if it should materialize and, get after it.
Well, if I would do something different, if I'm BTA and I'm playing March, if it all pans out that way, I'm sure other teams have a say so in this matchup. Of
course.
But if I'm BTA, I'm going to bat first. I'm going to go with I know they've had leads in the past, but once again we're speaking of the mitts. I want to bat first. I want to get a 2 or 3 run lead, and then I want to grind it out.
Well, the thing is, BTA's calling card was always their defense.
Yeah.
And they're going to put the gloves on. And when they won the national championship, man, it was, teams were having a hard time just getting a hit on them on Sunday because they were everywhere catching the ball. And, you're right. They need to get some of their jackrabbits on base, and they need to get going. We'll have to see if JoJo Reynolds is going to be healthy and able to play, because I know he kind of got dinged up a little bit the second half of the year, and he's one of the few guys they have that really drives the ball.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for them to, have JoJo in the lineup if he's healthy, to be able to give them a little bit more offense.
Yeah, well, I mean, like as you said, you said it all in a nutshell. JoJo does drive the ball. He's had some leg injuries later this part of this year, so I'm hoping everybody comes remotely healthy and ready to play, and then let's see what they can do.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what I always want at all of these big events is I always want to see all of the teams playing their best softball.
Yeah.
Because that's when it's a lot of fun, and you start seeing the great plays and the clutch hitting and things that some of these kids can do on a softball field. And, we're coming out of the dog days. Some of these teams haven't played a lot in August. I know quite a few of them have been trying to set up scrimmage games and batting practices, but it's not the same as playing.
No, not the same as playing. But in the Nationals, the juices are going to flow, and you're really going to get going and get after it. Now, I have a question. Okay.
I'm all ears.
Now we're going to reverse this now. Like when the eighth the Carroll Stream, the eighth Nationals was being played, you found a lot of major teams coming out looking and scouting and recruiting. What can, on the reverse end, if an A or B team come out and look at the major nationals, what can they get and grasp and learn?
Well, I think what you see when you're looking at the top 4, 5, 6, 7 major teams, wherever you want to draw the line, is, 1, they don't beat themselves. 2, they do the right thing. And if that means the situation is such where you need to move a runner, they'll move the runner.
Okay.
They don't throw to the wrong base. They don't let that vanity, I got a cannon, I got to show it off every time a guy's trying to run, because, it's not that easy to string 4 or 5 hits in a row. And when you throw to the wrong base and the hitter ends up on second, less than 2 outs, now you don't have that double play option.
Right.
Unless it's a line drive and it's poor base running and a guy gets picked off in a sense. But so I think that attention to detail is so important. And I know, you managed, I manage, you harp on it, I harp on it. But until your team understands that, yeah, it's underhand, but you can become very good defensively just by doing the right thing. And I'm a big believer that, there's 5 plays in a game that generally decide the game.
Okay.
And if you do the right thing, you make your life easier. If you do the wrong thing, it makes it harder. So, for example, you don't score that guy from third with less than 2. I don't mean to bring up Country Club Hills. But
that's what I'm just thinking about.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you guys did it a couple of times against the Wolfpack. But when you do the right thing, it might be scoring that guy. It might be moving a guy. So you can get a hit. It might just be as simple as not throwing the ball to the wrong base in a big spot. And so, there are so many plays in a game that, for example, a guy hits a pop-up, a guy gets lackadaisical, he drops it with 2 outs, and then the other team gets 4 hits in a row. And that's a play where you lost concentration, you drop a ball, and all of a sudden the floodgates open. And, so that's my take on it is, that's what you can take away from watching the major teams. And if you pay attention, you can see how they do stuff. How does this guy hit the ball down the right field line? What's his setup? How's he moving his feet so he's keeping it fair, where I'm hitting everything and it's way foul. So, if you're a student of the game and you come out, you watch these guys, their pregame routines. You see flashback, 45, signature. They're ready to go. They're taking ground balls before a game. They're doing things like that. So when the first pitch is in the air, they're ready to play softball.
Right, you're not stiff.
Yeah, you're not seeing guys like make throws and go, oh man, I'm not loose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you can lose a game in the first inning, just like you can win a game in the first inning, just like you can lose a game in the 7th or the 6th. So, you got to be ready to jump. I talk all the time on the broadcast, Jerry, about how in the first 2 innings, both teams will score 12 runs combined, and then the next 4 innings, there's no scoring. Because people come out, they're geeked up, maybe they're not ready to play. So, I think that's the key thing. Be serious about it. Get yourself ready to play. And, that's how I think you have success. But,
Okay.
So let's put this graphic up one more time. I know I sound like a broken record, but let's, support the people that support 16-inch softball. They're the reason why we're here, why we do the live stream, why we can do all this great stuff for you guys during the course of the season. So with that being said, that's going to kind of wrap it up. We're going to final thoughts, Jerry. Any dark horses? Anybody you want to pick? I'm asking you the question.
Okay, now you can ask me a question. Like I said before, I'm not going to come off my pick. I want to go with the Pharaohs. I'm going to pick the Pharaohs to make a great deep run in this tournament, and that's what I hope. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Pharaohs. I'm not going to come up off that pick. So that's my pick. I want to thank the SSA for allowing me to do the broadcast. I had a great time. It was a great year. The summer series was Gio's idea, and it was an excellent idea, and it worked. So thank you all. I'll see everybody out in the park, and good luck to all 24 teams.
And before I sign off, CC Sport, I didn't put the Malouk on you. Jerry Brown put the Malouk on you. So, hey, we're going to see you out at Harlow Lockwood tomorrow night. It's going to be fantastic. As George Bliss would say, play softball. It's the greatest game in the world. And so we're going to wrap it up here. We'll see you tomorrow. If you're in the park, feel free to say hi to me, Jerry, George, Patty, and the rest of the board. We'll talk softball with you all night. So on behalf of the SSA, that'll do it tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.